Hello there, Nish. It is so nice to have you. Just for the audience, for the sake of them knowing what's going on, this is not live, even though it says otherwise. Nish is the founder and the CEO, of course, him and his wife, of Rangam, which they have two subsidiaries. One is SourceAbled, and the other one is Source
Source
Pro.
Pros.
And Source Pro is your traditional staffing and recruitment. It's focused on heavy professionals and so on. And then you have SourceAbled, which is a part of today's discussion, DE&I in the workplace. And of course, Nish has been a great partner to Spartan all the way over in New Jersey, all the way to India. And, we're working on expanding this partnership in the Middle East. And we're so proud to be working with you with such a noble mission and noble cause, and an outstanding vision from you and your team. And everyone is so wonderful on your team as well. So let's expand a little bit. Tell me more.
First of all, thank you so much, and really great to see you. Since we got connected about a year and a half ago, it has been an amazing journey knowing you and all your passion around DEI. Really looking forward to that partnership and expansion and our, for our mutual growth, and more importantly, mission to promote DEI, promote neurodiversity, and promote disability inclusion at the workplace. So thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your thought leadership. I've been amazed with all the work you guys do, and would love to contribute and join hands.
Definitely. I guess this is the first stage. A lot of the strategies we have were inspired by what you've been doing as well. So we've taken your lead. We've been following in your footsteps, and we're grateful to be both following the footsteps of a giant, as well as being a partner to you as well, you and your wife and your entire team.
We share the same feelings. It's collaboration when it comes to diversity inclusion or neurodiversity. This type of collaboration and partnership is the only way we can make a bigger impact, right? And in our case, is we are learning from somewhere. It's our duty, it's our responsibility to share that learnings with others, so we can truly spread this awareness, spread this best practices with our partners and employers. And when it comes to neurodiversity and disability inclusion, that as we are in this global world of global workplace, that consistency throughout the organization is so important. And there is not one individual or one organization can bring that change. So this partnership is very, very important. I'm a true believer of that.
It is. I mean, changing the global mindset. There are so many cultures today, and through our discussions and through your own experience with your expansion, that there are cultures that simply don't acknowledge it as what it is.
Yeah.
Someone might be neurodiverse, but by no means does that mean they're not qualified or capable for a specific job.
And I have seen that's consistently everywhere, right? It's just a process, and that's where, as we partner and we start communicating, and in last couple of years we have seen huge change, huge difference. So now it is all up to us how we can leverage that, the right mind, the right environment, and the timing, and really spread this globally, and so that it becomes a part of routine, part of hiring process, part of traditional hiring. There is no traditional hiring and neurodiverse hiring. It is hiring. So that's our ultimate goal.
Absolutely. we have the diversity. I believe the E stands for equity, and then you have the inclusion. So diversity, it covers such a large range of people. We're talking about from neurodiverse to physical disabilities to age discrimination, to women empowerment in the workplace, all across the board. But for me, I had a big question. What is equity? What is that? Where does that stand in the equation?
So equity is something, is I always talk about, hiring a neurodiverse talent or hiring people with disability is not new. We can always hire. But the question is, do we have that equitable environment, workplace, where everyone is given equal opportunity to grow in their career? We always talk about equal opportunity employment, but once you employ the individual, how are we creating that the same play field for both people without disability and people with disability? So people with disability, with some constraints and some limitations, they should be able to grow and thrive as person without disability. That is the goal. And that's where we as a whole, as a society, we whole as a workplace, we have been challenging. And people with disability, neurodiverse candidate, that has been a challenge, and that is causing this higher unemployment rate, right? The higher unemployment rate is what I believe is we all are connected to someone with neurodiverse individual or person with disability. So kind of we have good intentions to help them, but in a lot of cases, we don't know where to start and what to do to create that equitable environment at the workplace so that people with disability can thrive and grow in their career.
Absolutely. We always tend to just simply, if it seems a little bit more of a challenge or out of the norm as a social habit, we avoid situations that are out of the standard protocol or cultural norms if it's a little bit more of an effort required. And understandably so, because that little bit more effort might cost a little bit more money for a company. And being able to offer a solution that is potentially affordable. And speaking about affordable, I mean, as well as I do, that when we're talking about headhunting rates or we're talking about staffing rates or whatever, at face value, it looks expensive. But when you actually calculate the time involved, if you were to do it internally, it's actually significantly more expensive. So for them, outsource to professionals like us, like Spartan and like Rangam, of course, us through you with your support, where we will be able to handle it, where we've mastered this trade and this thing to the point where it is, as a fact, cost effective, and it's effective in terms of results and ROI.
Yeah. And also, one of the other thing which we always talk about is attracting the talent and bringing in talent to the workplace is step one. And then where we work and where we partner with employers is where we really, how can we nurture, how can we create that right environment, how can we bring this awareness at the workplace. In fact, as you know, April is autism awareness month, but at Rangam we are celebrating as a autism global inclusion month, right? So that's what is really needed, not only at the workplace, in the society also. I was talking to somebody earlier, and was a parent, right? And is a parent, and she said, Nish, it's not just at the workplace, in the society, in the community. How do we create that environment so that inclusion in the society? So it's not just an individual, their family. Some of the families, they struggle with isolation and some of the other challenges in the society. how that's where we would like to get there, at that stage where in the society also there is a harmony and there is a inclusion as part of what we do every day, not only at work but in the community and in the society. So it is a process, and that's where we when we work with the employer partners, we want to make sure that we provide that awareness, which individuals will also take home, and as they are interacting with friends and family, they have that different mindset about neurodiversity and
100%. It's a grassroots effect. I mean, it's even applicable. Whatever they're learning from us through our consultations, through our trainings and development programs, they will be able to at least pick up on a couple of the things that they might find useful. And I know that from association, most of the time when I'm in a training, I don't listen to half the things. I don't remember half the things that are said.
Right.
But the things that I definitely remember are applicable to my life.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to be, in a way, it's an investment in your society and in the benefit of everyone. There's a lot of people here in the Middle East in general, where in the past it was a cultural norm. Of course, this is drastically improving today, but in the past it was a cultural norm, to just, if you have someone in the family with neurodiverse, we pamper them a lot, we take care of them too much, to the point where, oh no, you don't need a job, we'll take care of that for you. But there's no need to pity them. If they're qualified for a specific position, even if it might be as simple as data entry, they're still qualified. They shouldn't be treated differently from anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. And that independence and self independence is so important, and for self-esteem also, and for anybody's right. If I when we struggle with the job and with the unemployment, it's directly impacting our mental health, and that's a universal fact. Now, if you look at that as the from the disability hiring standpoint, just imagine, first someone is struggling with the health, and then second is, if we have this added challenge, not only with the individual but as a whole, as a family, that's where what I have seen and experienced, that leaders now in large corporations, they have recognized that, they are talking about it. Now they are really taking an action. They are taking it seriously. It's not, DEI is not anymore checking the box with some organizations. And hope is that, it will get better and better and better, and it will become a standard practices of any corporation.
Definitely. It will improve not only the corporation, not only the families at home, but you mentioned something that triggered a thought here for me, where through the consultations and the coaching and the guidance on how to be more accepting and more empathetic, as per your short shirt, I still have mine, by the way. I wear it to the gym most of the time.
All right.
So it actually will create an entire culture of anywhere between 50 to 200 to 300 employees of an increase in empathy and understanding. And if we get enough of people on this program, I imagine that empathy will transfer to road rage, traffic, to cutting someone in line at a grocery store, wherever it might be. I know that a lot of countries, with a lower GDP, tend to have a lot more frustration and angst, and it's mostly due to the financial situation that most people are in. And creating that sense of empathy could even, maybe it's a big claim to say, but it could even have a direct impact on the country's income.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In fact, one of our partner, Empathify we have just started the program within Rangam. Is we talk about empathy, and as the organization is in that rapid growth mode. One of our concern was that as we are talking, as we get overloaded with work, we want to remind ourselves about our core values and the culture of empathy at Rangam as we go out and preach and help other organizations. We also need that reminder as we expand our team, because what is happening that in today's workplace, as people they come and go, and millennials and this new generation, they are going to rapidly change jobs, and in that type of a dynamic environment, building and then most importantly sustaining that culture awareness of empathy is the core ingredient of for building the truly effective DEI program. Because without empathy, it's
What are we
it will
doing?
become like just a checkbox and say we are doing it, and we're gonna highlight that in our marketing material and move on with our lives.
Yeah, but like you said, the empathy aspect adds value behind what you're doing, and it's beyond the financial incentive. It's a core part of being a human that is feeding you something that in most jobs and most situations you're not going to find.
Yeah.
But when you've involved empathy in a let's say your workspace or your company, it's creating that sense of a higher purpose.
Yeah.
And it's feeding something that a lot of people question themselves every day about. And it's one of those big life questions. What am I doing? Why am I here? But when you
Yeah.
involve empathy into something, it feeds that higher purpose that we need an answer for.
Yeah, yeah. And the beauty of our work, Laith, is employment itself has very noble cause, and as a huge impact in the society. So we are already in that space, and if we can add this DEI and disability inclusion and neurodiversity as part of our offerings, that is so powerful. And I have personally experienced that myself, and within Rangam, that that whole social impact and my why I'm coming to work, and those things are really very impactful and helping us to do the right thing first, and then ultimately that gets converted into a revenue and a growth for the organization.
100%. It makes a change in everything. And then I think it stops necessarily being a attitude top to down kind of waterfall reaction. It becomes a core part of the entire business. And
Yeah.
once that happens, the entire team just keeps radiating positivity and energy and motivation, and everyone is automatically accountable. Having that sense of empathy with your boss, with your teammates, with uh, starting with a small program like the neurodiversity solution that we have, will have that scalable effect throughout the rest of the entire organization. um, uh, I'm fascinated, and I'm so excited to see the results that we can create together. And I'm ecstatic.
Yeah, yeah. And another thing like is about employee engagement, right? That's another area which is so critical in this world of innovation and highly competitive marketplace, as we are all trying to innovate and trying to do different things and build innovative solutions. In that type of environment, the team building, the impact of that connection with the employees and teams working together with that approach of empathy and or the culture of empathy, it creates a very different bond, different kind of a strength, team strength within groups. And I have seen it personally within Rangam and some other organizations as we go and talk about this. It's a great outcome, and team building, caring for each other, and a very different way of communicating and establishing. Empathy doesn't mean that compromise in quality, compromise in productivity. um, it really helps us to communicate better, to manage things in a more impactful way, in a caring way. And another thing which I am a true believer that as we are bringing automation to the workplace, as we are bringing efficiency by adopting different technologies and uh, innovative automation in the workplace, what is going to be a real value or attraction to employees, right? It's doing the right thing, having that social impact, and that's where in recent years we have seen some tremendous growth in the area of social impact, because people, they want to work for the company where there is a mission and there is a goal of some impact.
We have a situation where there's in the management style in the Middle East, it tends to be one communication style.
Yeah.
It's my way or the highway, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's common. It's a very common thing with from the Middle East and on further to the east. But we have seen in the West, in the UK, in the US, and the transition from that way of thinking and that way of communicating to another way of communicating requires exposure to a business that succeeded in that shift from this way of communicating to this way, and what were the results? What was the ROI on my personal cognitive effort to change my way of communication? So when you try to think of it that way, it has an impact. That's what builds loyalty. Money, cash incentives, bonuses, titles, they might get you the candidate in the door, but they will not keep the candidate with you.
Yeah, yeah, you are absolutely so true. Absolutely. You're right.
And of course, speaking of getting candidates in the door, in terms of diversity, I wanted to elaborate more on, let's say, the benefits of hiring military veterans, because I had a meeting with a client yesterday, and I mentioned that I am a CMVR certified, and he was like, "Oh, so you can get me some military veterans?" I'm like, I can, and he seemed really excited and ecstatic because he already has a couple on his payroll, and he's seen the efficiency behind what they do, and I would like to expand on that from your perspective.
Yeah. No, that's see, as you said, some of the training at early in the earlier career, right? This training, we are all influenced by our surroundings. And one of my friend, Dr. Dale Cardwell, he always talk about influence. And so when we are influenced by that type of training, very systematic, methodic way of executing things in a well planned, well organized way, those skills are soft skills, and that those skills, can be developed first of all. And so once you develop that, that's not going to go away, and that's going to stay with you for the remaining of your life. So that's one of the beautiful thing, as you work with veterans and any individual who has that type of a training. Another thing is, I would say, it's our social commitment, right? That individuals, when they are working in the military, some of the challenges they face is as they transition into civilian life. Their experience is very different than Fortune 500 companies and what our workplaces offer. So it is our, I would say, uh, duty to help, more than help, to figure out as an employment agency or workforce solution expert, how do we map that to the right job opportunities where they are successful? And again, we always talk about either if it's a neurodiversity or disability or veteran hiring strategies, we always talk about let's focus on their strength and let's help them manage their weakness, right? And this can be applied to all of us. So how do we do that? And that's where I see that it's our role and our responsibility in this whole workplace environment as a workforce solution experts. We build those solutions around that strategy so that everybody thrives, um, you know as we onboard this talent for our customers.
100%. I mean, and if you're hiring a veteran as well that just came out of the military and is not sure what they want to do, they're not going to understand the corporate setting, the organization structure. They're not going to understand job titles and job descriptions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they read through it enough, I'm sure they would. But that being said, like you said as well, it's up to us to be able to understand where they're coming from their experience, and make that judgment call on where they would best fit into the cog of our machine.
Yeah, and that's where empathy works very well.
Right. Right. 100%.
Yeah.
But if we switch gears a little bit, I wanted to discuss also the neurodiversity aspect and SourceAbled. If you can tell us more about SourceAbled and the recruitment involved with neurodiversity, but as well as physical disabilities.
Sure. So our journey with neurodiversity, autism and neurodiversity started about 15 years ago. Our first half of our journey was focused on education, special needs education. And then in recent years, now we are focusing more on the employment side. When it comes to education, this is how we started. I personally started my journey, and I was talking to a friend, and he said, Nish, when our kids, when they graduate, neurotypical children or students from high school, we all celebrate, and the celebration of a special needs school I'm coming from, parents are confused and kind of worried that what is going to happen next week, Monday morning, when there is no school. And this is very typical in United States, that after 21 years of age, your support system is now more driven by qualifications, like you have to be qualified to get certain benefits from the government programs and healthcare programs. So, and then on top of that, the employment has been a huge challenge. So in United States, 1 out of 20 is neurodiverse, and when it comes to disability, 1 out of 4 has some kind of a visible or invisible disability. And the challenge is only 3 out of 10 are employed. So about 7 out of 10 are unemployed. And that unemployment has two huge impact. One is, you mentioned GDP. There are some statistics which shows that if we even bring in 1% of this unemployed talent pool, which is highly talented, only their challenge is to get into the workforce, and that getting that breakthrough is challenging in some cases. In some cases, then sustaining is challenging. So that's where the SourceAble kind of a more structured program is playing a very, very critical role. So going back to that challenge, now we as a workforce solution company, and at Rangam, our mission is to promote employment for everyone, or drive employment for everyone. As a workforce solution company, we won't be able to create millions of jobs, but what we can definitely do is we can influence and educate our employer partners, so that we can create through that approach or strategy, we can really create more and more job opportunities for people with disability and neurodiverse talent. So with that mission to promote employment for everyone, one of the core ingredient we talk about is creating that empathetic culture, creating that culture of lifelong learning, of more awareness in certain areas. So through our partnership with some of our research partners and some of our employer partners, we've been developing and learning and constantly evolving this proprietary framework which we have built. And through this framework, we are helping companies in twofold. One is the companies where they are interested in starting a brand new neurodiversity at work program or autism hiring program. We are helping them with this, jump starting that process. And then second is some of the employers where they are in advanced stage or they already have a program up and running. How do we scale up this program? Because hiring few hundred people in few years is not going to make the real dent. And now the beautiful thing is that with this whole talent crisis, what the kind of opportunity we have in front of us is really this huge talent pool, untapped, highly talented talent pool, passionate, they want to work. And how do we bring that to the workplace? Step one. And then step two is how do we help organizations to tweak their existing hiring methods, onboarding methods, and then support methods, and some of the accommodations doesn't cost a lot of money. It's just tweaking, as you mentioned earlier. It's just tweaking it a little bit here and there, and once we create that environment, loyalty, you mentioned loyalty, the cost effectiveness, as we are struggling with the turnover, this is no brainer, which in my view, companies, they have recognized that. Now we are at that stage where now how do we build these programs? How do we partner with those stakeholders at the workplace, employee resource group and talent acquisition and procurement? How do we partner with them, educate them? And then once they have a clarity, because as I mentioned earlier, everyone is connected, and my personal experience is people are open, they want to do it, they don't know how to do it, they don't know how to start, where to start. So if we have that solution, and once we start implementing this, and that's what SourceAble is about, it's a framework to build and scale up neurodiversity and disability hiring programs.
I love it. And of course, I wanted to add a point about the loyalty. You know, Nish, that I love breaking the third wall. So you have all these staffing firms and these recruitment firms using the math involved as a sales pitch, of course, but it is based on fact. It's based on reality. The cost of replacing employees, which can be significant. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 10 times the amount of just retaining an employee.
One of the statistics, I don't have the exact numbers, but Ernst & Young has done some research that if you have a company of 500 employees, and if your turnover is 12 or 13%, and if we can bring that turnover down to 9%, you will be saying about million or 2 million, something like that. I don't have the exact number, but it is money savings is in millions. Just imagine how much these large companies, they are aware of that turnover as a huge cost, and this is what we can eliminate.
Then the math is normally flawed as well. If you think about it, what companies mistake with in terms of their calculations on replacing an employee is the cost of termination, the cost of the job post, the cost of potentially the new laptop, but they're not accounting for the hiring manager's hourly rate. Or the potential loss on sales because the sales manager is in an interview rather than meeting with customers. So they're really not accounting for the real scalable cost involved here.
Yeah, sorry, that's a problem with working from home and having multiple screens. So I apologize. I got really distracted.
I know the feeling perfectly.
Message. But yeah, the cost, and sorry, I missed your last point, Laith, if you don't mind.
My last point was that the calculations are normally incorrect. So they're like, oh, it's okay, I can just replace someone else. No, because the replacement cost involves the hiring managers, of course, where the hiring manager's hourly rate, not to mention, of course, the potential loss on sales or money saved due to lack of focus of the manager on their actual core task.
Also, there are indirect impacts also on the culture, the morale of people, right? People, they come and go and they'll say, what's happening, right? And in this crazy market, we have been experiencing also, which is, the market conditions are like that. But how do we do our best to prevent some of those things? Morale, something, the continuity. We are in process of launching this technology platform for neurodiversity hiring and DEI platform. And one of our challenge with the tech talent is continuity. As we lose some of those talented individuals, they move with that knowledge, domain knowledge, and some of the expertise which we have been investing for years. So it's a huge risk, huge.
You have the data, the project continuity, you have so many different risks involved as well. I mean, if you had someone managing one of your key accounts at a point of a critical project, but by circumstance, one of your managers was not keeping a close eye on it, you've just lost all your progress and potentially lost a client or customer. So, I mean, it's a completely it's a scalable cost involved to replacing an employee or losing an employee. I think I would like to expand more on Source Pro.
So as you know, Source Pros is our that's our core expertise as a workforce solution company. We started about 20 years ago, and as that industry has evolved, and it's evolving now rapidly, even rapidly in last 2 years. We provide contingent and direct hire, permanent hire placement services to Fortune 500 companies through our Source Pros program. And we are very tech enabled, I would say, with a lot of in-house automation. We've been building our in-house technology to manage this process of complete requisition to complete onboard and then offboard the talent. So we and one of the beautiful thing, and I call this through circle of innovation, what we have done in last few years, we have taken this technology platform, learnings from the best practices, learning from all our delivery mechanism and strategy around finding the talent and placing them with the right meaningful job for their career growth. We have taken that expertise and kind of now we are customizing that for neurodiversity and people with disability and leveraging our technology expertise. So it is really Source Pros is our driving force towards building this innovative new solution of, I call this all five. So in United States, I have mentioned earlier, there are 1 out of 5 individuals has 1 out of 4. The latest number is 1/4. So 1 out of 4. So we can say all 4. So when everyone is looking at 3 out of 4 talent pool through this source pros kind of a model, traditional staffing, we are truly tapping into all 4 or all 5. And we are really looking at the talent as a whole and bringing this talent to the workplace, connecting this talent to this workplace. So Source Pros has been a driving force, I would say, when it comes to innovation at Rangam. And that subject matter expertise has really played a key role. And in last about 6-7 years, what has happened, that because of that expertise and because of our expertise in the technology, we were able to attract some amazing like-minded talent to Rangam, including our leadership team. So now our leadership team is widely like spread and very diverse in this area. So
you've also attracted all of Spartan.
there we go. See, and I'm telling you, my experience is that when we go out and we talk about some of the things which we've been working, it's just amazing how we get connected to right people and like-minded people. And it has been a great journey.
I completely agree. This has been a great experience for me, working on a couple of these projects with you and your team so far, and the knowledge I've gained so far. And I remember when we first discussed neurodiversity, I simply thought it was psychological disorders, and then obviously I had to do my research. I had to Google it. But I'm sure that most of the audience, if they haven't Googled it already at this point in our conversation, is what falls under the category of neurodiverse?
Any individual who has, I would say, any invisible disability which is related to your neurological system, right? Now that's, in my view, I would not call that disorder. And that's what I'm hearing from. It's just a different way how our brain function is just a little bit different than others. So and again, there are a lot of conversations on whether it's a disability or whether it's a neurodiversity. It has its own and in fact, that's where I'm hearing a lot of organizations, as they are implementing neurodiversity programs, they have a special different categorization is not under disability, it is neurodiversity, it's on its own.
I suppose the terminology for it will vary from region to region based on their local, their correctness in phrasing and stuff like that is accepted within the region.
Yeah.
And I imagine that for choosing the word, SourceAbled was also a challenge as well. I mean, I could imagine the brainstorming session involved with what's the best phrase we could use in this situation.
And its ability is also something in some cases is getting questioned, that whether we want to say able or differently able is also has some again, it's it's how we see and interpret certain things and it's complicated.
The most important thing is that it's coming from a good place,
and it's also ever evolving. I have seen correcting me people saying autistic and said that's not a right terminology. Now we have learned autistic is okay to say, disability is okay to say. So things like that is constantly evolving. It's just it's the bottom line is we want to be respectful to the individual and their thoughts and their expectations, right? Person with disability or individual on the spectrum or autistic individual. So we want to be respectful to their views. That's all. That's all it matters.
And we do the best we can.
Yeah, that's right.
Of course, of course. I think that this entire program of SourceAbled and its 5 pillars are going to have such a great impact. I'm glad to be a part of this journey with you and with the team. I know my team is super ecstatic about getting this off the ground.
Excellent.
We even, we've recently hired our own in-house psychologist to be able to identify culture fits in such a unique situation as well.
Excellent.
She's super excited, and we really find this to be a noble service to offer the world. As in reality, if you're qualified, you're qualified, and I've been saying that I think from the first time I met you, and I will always continue to say that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And let one of the things which we have learned that, every region, every society is kind of different. So as we are working with some of the organizations in India, employer partners, we have our team of experts from the local community, from the disability community, because that is very important, how we take this framework or this our experience and then customize it for that particular region, that particular community. And that is the key. At Rangam we call it fix and flexible. What is fix, what it goes, which stays, those basic principles, but then those flexible things is the one which we customize it, and we build that solution around that, and then we deliver it.
That is amazing. Thank you so much, Nish, for your time. I know that you're a very busy person, so I won't take it much more of it. I just wanted to thank you so much for the vision that you have, the innovative thinking that you and your team have. And I wanted to say how grateful I am to you and your wife for taking 20 years out of your life to build such a beautiful, beautiful business. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts here at Spartan as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Late. Thank you. It has been a great journey. It has been my pleasure and privilege to know you and your friendship. And looking forward for this making a bigger impact together.
Me too. Me too.
Excellent. Excellent.
Thank you so much. And I think that concludes our chat for Leaders Talk. If anyone has any questions, feel free to comment in the comment section or contact us through our website.